morning everyone. My name is Sheikh Ismail Ali Basha, Department of Botany and K.B.N College. Today discuss about Unit-2 Gymnosperms. What is the meaning of gymnosperms? The gymnosperms are a group of plants that produce seed not enclosed within the ovary or fruit. The word gymnosperm comes from the Greek word. Gymnos is a naked and sperma seed, hence known as a naked seeds. Gymnosperms are the seed producing plants, but unlike angiosperms, they produce seeds without fruits. These plants develop on the surface of the scales or leaves or at the end of the stalks, forming a cone like structure. For example, జీడిపప్పు చూసుకున్నట్లయితే ఆ జీడిపప్పు అనేది ఏం చేస్తుందంటే అది ఫ్రూట్ యొక్క లోపల ఉండకుండా బయట ఉంటుంది. సో అది బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్గా మనము జిమ్నోస్పమ్స్కి మనము జీడిపప్పుగా చెప్తాం, రైట్. The gymnosperm belonging to the kingdom Plantae and subkingdom Embryophyta. The fossil evidence suggested that they originate during the Paleogenic era about 390 million years ago. They do not have produce flowers. Seeds are not formed inside the fruit, they are naked. They are found in cooler region where snowfall occurs. They develop needle-like leaves. They are perennial or woody forming trees or bushes. They are not differentiated into ovary, style and stigma. Since stigma is absent, they are pollinated directly by the wind. The male gametophytes produce two gametes, but only one of them is functional. They form cones with a reproductive structures. The seeds contain endosperm that store food for the growth and development of the plant. The classification of gymnosperm, according to the Sporn classification in 1965, the gymnosperms are three classes: Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, Neotopsida. The Cycadopsida orders is Pteridospermales, Benititales, Pentaxylales, Cycadales, and class Coniferopsida order Cardatiales, Coniferales, Taxales, Zincoales. The class Neotopsida, the order is a Neotales. The Cycas is the first Cycas. The Cycas is a gymnosperm. It is the only living genus identified in the family Cycadiae. It contains more than 100 species. It is mainly distributed in the eastern and southern eastern Asian regions. Many Cycas species are native to China, Australia and India. The Cycas are perennial evergreen trees. They appear like a palm tree. They are characterized by the presence of a naked seeds. Ovules are not enclosed within the ovary. The main body part is the diploid sporophyte. The cycas are dioecious. The male and female plants are separate. The structure of the cycas plant, the main plant body of cycas is a diploid sporophyte. It is a vesicular plant and it is differentiated into roots, stem and leaves. The morphology of cycas: it is an evergreen and perennial plant. Some species grow as tall as 40 feet in height. It is dioecious plant. Male and female reproductive parts are born on different trees. It possesses two kinds of roots, taproot and corollary root. The primary roots are taproots. The main functions of these roots are anchorage and absorption of water and minerals. The corollary roots develop from the normal roots. The corollary roots are associated with the cyanobacteria that perform the biological nitrogen fixation. The stem is mostly unbranched, thick and woody. The surface of the stem rough due to the persistent leaf bases. Leaves from a crown at the top of the stem. There are two types of leaves found in cycas: foliose leaves and scaly leaves. The scaly leaves are small and born in color. They have a protective function. They protect reproductive structure and the shoot apex. The scaly leaves alternate with the foliose leaves. The green foliose leaves are pinnately compound. Each leaf has a multiple leaflets which are arranged in a log rachis. The leaves have a succinate venation and have a midrib without a lateral ends. The foliose leaves are not permanent and fall off, leaving leaf bases. Xylem contains tracheids and xylem parenchyma but lacks a vessels. The phloem consists of sieve tube and phloem parenchyma. Companion cells are absent. They show secondary growth. They are a heterosporous. The megasporous and microsporous are produced in the megasporangia and microsporangia respectively. The sporangia are born and spirally arranged in megasporophylus and microsporophylus. In cycas, the megasporophylus and microsporophylus are present on different trees, hence they are dioecious. The mesophylus does not form a cone or strobile. The reproductive and life cycle, cycles shows vegetative as well as sexual reproduction. Vegetative reproduction occurs through the bulbils or adventitious buds. The sexual reproduction occurs through the formation of seeds. The next one is the vegetative reproduction. The adventitious buds or bulbils develops in the axis of scaly leaves. They detach from the stem and develop into new plant. The bud from the male plant develops into the male plant and the bud from the female plant develops into the female plant. The sexual reproduction, the cycas is a heterosporous, it produces two kinds of spores. It is dioecious, male and female reproductive parts are born in different plants. The sexual reproduction is oogamous, the egg is quite a large in size and non-motile compared to the male gametes. The development of male gametophyte, the microspores are produced in the microsporangia which are born on the microsporophyllus. The microsporophyllus are arranged spirally in the acropetal succession on the axis to produce a cone or compact strobile. The male cone of a cycas is the largest in the plant kingdom. The microspores are haploid and produced by the meiosis in microspore mother cells. The microspore develop into male gametophytes which are reduced and are called pollen grains. The development of pollen grains is initiated within the sporangia. The microsporangia dehisces at the three-celled state of pollen grains that contains of a prothallal cell, a generative cell and tube cell. For the development of the male gametophyte occurs after pollination, pollen grains are wind pollination. The development of female gametophyte, the megaspores are produced in the megasporangia which are born in a megasporophyllus. Megasporophyllus are arranged spirally in the acropetal section on the crown of a leaves but do not form a cone or strobile. The ovules or megasporangia of cycas are the largest in the plant kingdom. Megaspores are haploid and are produced after meiosis in the megaspore mother cell. One of the megaspores develops into the multicellular female gametophyte within the megasporangium. The female gametophyte bears two or more archegonia that are a female sex organs. The female gametophyte is retained within the megasporangium. Fertilization. Pollen grains are carried towards the ovule by air. The pollen tube grows towards the archegonia in the ovules and discharges its content male gametes near the mouth of the archegonia. The male gametes fuses with the egg nucleus to form a diploid zygote. The zygote gives rise to the embryo and ovule develops into the seed. The seeds are not covered within the characters of gymnosperms. The economic importance of cycas. Cycas are used for the decorative purpose and horticulture in the ceremonies. They are also used as a food and medicine. Many species of cycas are used as ornamental plants. Starch is obtained from the Cycas revolata, sago palm is its common name, and some other species. Some parts of the Cycas species plants are also used to prepare the alcoholic drinks. Some of the Cycas species produce edible seeds. Leaves are used for the decorative purpose and to prepare baskets and hats, etc. Next one is the netum. The distribution of netum. Netum represented by about 40 species in confined to the tropical and humidity region of the world. Nearly all species except the Netum microcarpum occurs below an altitude of 1500 meters. 5 species, Netum contractum, Netum nimon, Netum montanum, Netum ulla, Netum latifolium, have been reported from India. The Netum ulla is most commonly occurring species of India. The habitat of Netum, the majority of the Netum species are climbers except a few shrubs or trees. Netum triniveri is apparently parasitic. Two types of branches are present on the main stem of the plant. The branches of limited growth and branches of unlimited growth. Each branch contains nodes and internode stem of several species of Netum is articulated. The anatomy of Netum, the root. Young root has several layers of a stark-filled parenchymatous cortex, the cells of which are large and polygonal in outline. An endodermal layer is distinguished by Casparian thrips are seen in the cells of the endodermis. The endodermis follows 4 to 6 layers the pericycle. Roots are diarch and exarch. A small amount of primary xylem visible in young roots becomes the indistinguishable after secondary growth. Young stem. The young stem in transverse section is roughly circular in outline, the resemble with a typical dicotyledonous stem. It remains surrounded by the single layered epidermis, which is thickly circulated and consists of rectangular cells. Some of the epidermal cells show papillate outgrowth, sunken stomata are present. The young stem is transverse section is roughly circular in outline and resemble with the typical dicotyledonous stem. It remains surrounded by a single layered epidermis which is thickly circulated and consists of a rectangular cells. Some of the epidermal cells show papillate outgrowth. The sunken stomata are present. The cortex consists of outer 5 to 7 cells, thick collenchymatous region, middle few cells, thick parenchymatous region, and inner 2 to 4 cells, thick sclerenchymatous region. Xylem consists of tracheids and vessels. Presence of vessels in angiospermic character. The protoxylem elements are spiral or annular while the metaxylem shows boarded pit which are a circular in outline. The phloem consists of sieve cells and phloem parenchyma. Leaf. The internally netum leaves also resemble with a dicot leaf. It is bounded by a layer of thickly circularized epidermis on the both surface. The stomata are distributed all over the lower surface except on the veins. The mesophyll is differentiated generally into a single layered palisae and a well developed spongy parenchyma. The reproduction of netum. The netum is dioecious. The reproductive organs are organized into well developed cones or strobili. These cones are organized into inflorescences generally of a panicule type. Sometimes the cones are a terminal in position. The male cone and male flower. The male flower are arranged in the definite rings above each corolla and nodes on the axis of male cone. The number of rings varies between the 3 to 6. The male flowers in the rings are arranged alternately. There is a ring of abrasive ovals in imperfect female flower above the ring of the male flowers. Each male flower contains 2 coherent bracts which form a perianth. 2 unilocular anthers remain attached on a short stalk enclosed within the perianth. At maturity, when the anthers are ready for the dehiscence, the stalk elongated the anthers come out of the perianth sheath. In Netum pneumonia, 2 to 3 flowers are sometimes seen fusing each other. Female cone. The female cones resemble with the male cone except in some definite accepts. A single ring of the 4 to 10 female flowers or ovals is present just above each collar. Only a few of the ovals develop into the mature seeds. Oval or female flower. Each oval consists of a nucleus surrounding of 3 envelopes. The nucleus consists of central mass of cell. The inner envelope elongated behind the middle envelope to form the microspherular tube or style. The nucleus contains the female gametophyte. There is no nuclear bag in the oval of Netum. Pollination. The wind helps in the carrying the pollen grains up to the micropylar tube of the oval. The micropylar tube secretes a drop of fluid in which certain the pollen grains get entangled and reach up to the pollen chamber. The nucleus cells below the pollen chamber are full of a starch. Fertilization. The fertilization in Netum has been studied only by the few workers. Basile in 1959 studied this phenomena in Netum ula. At the time of fertilization, the pollen tube pierces through the membrane of the female gametophyte just near to a group of densely cytoplasmic cells. The tip of pollen tube bursts and the male cells are released. One of the male cells enter in the egg cells. The male and female nuclei, after laying side by side for some time, fuse with each other and form a zygote. According to Swami in 1973, the only identifying the features of the zygote are its spherical shape and dense cytoplasm. Both male cells of a pollen tube may remain functional if 2 eggs are present close the pollen tube. And next one is the endosperm. In all gymnosperms except the Netum, a cellular endosperm develops before fertilization. In Netum, the cell formation, although start before the fertilization, a part of the gametophyte remains free nuclear at the time of the fertilization. The embryo. Maheshwari and Vasil 1961 have stated that in all the angiosperms, the first division of the zygote is accompanied by a wall formation, but in all gymnosperms, except Sequoia sempervirens, these are the free nuclear division in the zygote. The Netum in this respect to form a link in between the gymnosperms and angiosperms by showing both free nuclear divisions as well as cell division. Seed. Netum seeds are oval to elongated in shape and green to red in color. It remains surrounded by a 3-layered envelope which encloses the embryo and the endosperm. Outer envelopes is fleshy and consists of parenchymatous cells. It imparts color to seed. Germination of seed. The germination is of epizeel type. The cotyledons are pushed out the seed. The hypocotyl elongates and this brings the cotyledons out of the soil. The first green leaves of the plant are formed by the cotyledons. The first pair of foliage leaves is produced by the development of plumule. A persistent fetus is present up to a very late stage in the seed. Next one is the topic is geological time scale. The geological time scale is a record of a Earth history based on the organisms that lived at the different time. The geological time scale is a system of a chronological measurement that related to stratigraphy, the study of rock strata, especially the distribution, deposition and the age of sedimentary rocks, to time, and is used by the geologist, paleontologist and other earth scientists to describe the time and relationship between the events that have occurred throughout the earth history. The first geological time scale was proposed in 1913 by the British geologist Arthur Holmes in 1980 to 1965. This was soon after the discovery of the radioactivity, and using the Holmes estimated that the earth was about 4 million years old. Evidence from the radioactivity dating that indicates that earth is about 4.5 million years old. This was much greater than previously believed. The geological time scale is divided into 5 main eras: Cenozoic era, Mesozoic era, Paleozoic era, Proterozoic era, Archeozoic era. Each era is divided into periods and each period is divided into epochs. These are the Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic, Proterozoic, Archeozoic eras. This is the millions of years ago, and periods, eras, key events. Next one, Psychodidae. It is a fossil gymnosperms. The history of the Psychodidae. The Psychodia, also called as a benthiatals by several European paleobotanists, is represented by about 30 species. The name Psychodidae was put forward in 1827 for the petrified trunks from the Isle of Portland. Though benthiatals is still employed for plant fossils from the Isle of Wight, the Psychodidae is now the valid name of the genus. It has been reported from Upper Jurassic to Upper Cretaceous rocks of America, India, Russia and several Europe countries. It occurs in the form of the large number of petrification in different parts of the world. The morphological feature of Psychodidae. The Psychodidae trunks were short, stout, spherical to subspherical and unbranched or branched. The trunks and leaves of many of the species show remarkable resemblance with those of living cicadas. Some of these species were short while others attained a height of 3 to 3.6 meters. The trunks generally attained a diameter of about 50 centimeters and had many persistent rhomboidal leaf bases. A compact crown of cycad like a large pinnately composed leaves was present in the apex. The leaflets had many parallel ends. These are the Psychodidae pictures. Anatomy of Psychodidae. The stem was roughly circular or oval in outline. It remained covered by heavy armor of leaf bases. The epidermis was not very distinct. The cortex was parenchymatous and possessed many mucilage canals and leaf traces. The many conjoined, collateral, open and endark vesicular bundle constitute the primary vesicula of the stem. A large centrally located pith was present. The xylem and phloem have been studied in the detail by the Wieland. Most of the traces were rectangular in shape. They were scalariform. The tracheids of a protoxylem were spiral. The secondary xylem and secondary phloem were transferred by the secondary medullary rays, which were either uniseriate or biseriate. The cambium was clearly visible. A leaf trace developed singly from the primary vesicular strand. It divided into many mesarc strands upon the entering into the cortex. At the place of its origin, the leaf trace was C-shaped. Next one, reproductive organ of the Psychodidae. The benthiatals' reproductive organs are distinguished as flowers. The flower buds in the plants were present in the axial leaf bases. As many on 500 flowers buds were present on a single trunk in the species such as Psychodidae Botany. In several species of Psychodidae, all the flower buds were present on a trunk almost the same stage of development. Some paleobotanists believe that such a plant might have a forward only once during its lifetime, except a few species like a Psychodidae Villenidae. The flower is Psychodidae were bisexual.